LG's turn to ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Beyond the Summit presentation, bringing you guys a game from the Dota 2 Super League. This is Invictus Gaming versus ForLove. This is going to be an interesting series here. Best of 3 between these two teams in the Chinese scene. In general, you just look at this matchup and say Invictus Gaming have this in the bag outright because up until like the past couple weeks, they were guaranteed one of the best teams, if not the best team in the entire world. But right now, Invictus Gaming have lost a few games and definitely want to make sure that they're still in form here. So have to keep their bearings, and that might give ForLove the opportunity to possibly take a game, or maybe the entire series if they do play their cards right. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning on in. I'm myself, M-Blaze. Along with me is Vikrman, co-casting it up. How's it going, man?
It's going well, Blaze. I'm pretty pumped about this game, honestly, even though, as you said, it's almost like a grim task. I guess the question we're asking with this series is, how far exactly have IG fallen? Far enough to lose to ForLove? I don't know. And ForLove is a good team. I mean, they're by no means pushovers. They gave Tongfu a pretty good run for their money in the last Super League game we casted, which must have been, I guess, a little over a week ago, because it was right when TI3 quals were starting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that, but yeah, plenty of time. In the meantime, we did see ForLove do pretty well in that scenario, but I don't think they actually won the matchup we were casting there.
No,
so.
They lost 0-2.
Exactly.
But they did give good games.
Yeah, good games, so hopefully can still put out that aggression. And to start things off with the draft, they do pick up the Bat Rider, which does say a lot. They do get the potential, once they get some good mid-game items, to start going for pickoffs and start initiating effectively. And along with that, they're going to go with the Kunkka here. Interestingly enough, they don't get the Shadow Demon along with it, so it's not going to be as effective to combine those abilities together, the Torrent and such. But the big thing about the Kunkka pick is more so about that Kunkka's Roam, his ultimate, at getting the potential to stun people in an AoE initiation sense, but making sure that everybody can survive longer and longer into the fight, which is great against Gyrocopter, who likes to do all his damage within the first 3 or 4 seconds of the fight.
That's exactly right. Kunkka's the rum effect on the ultimate is so incredibly effective at just keeping your team alive long enough to get what you need to get done, kill maybe 2 or 3 people, and then get out and still be alive at the end of it. It's an excellent ability. The stun of the ship will go through BKB once Gyrocopter builds it, so it's just a very good overall pick. Kunkka is becoming really more and more and more prevalent in this Eastern scene, and I was actually kind of chuckling to myself because the bans and the picks up until the Kunkka were just incredibly Western. You're seeing this major convergence of the scenes after that pretty big wake-up call that teams like IG got in G1 League. So Shadow Demon, basically a pick everywhere, but Gyrocopter becoming a first pick is definitely something that percolated from the west to the east. Kunkka, however, being used by all of these Chinese teams, is very much a more Eastern influence dimension. The interesting thing will be, I'm interested that they haven't banned Visage yet. If he skates through, he could be a pretty great pickup for actually either of these teams.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good point. And I'm interested to see IG's bans coming on out. They don't think the Kunkka will be played in a primary farming role, just kind of a utility hero, but then adding on in, they were worried about late game carries like the Spectre or ones that can farm very, very quickly like the Alchemist. So it's interesting that kind of back and forth there. As well, banning out a few mid/off-lane heroes like the Dragon Knight and Clockwork for ForLove, and taking that out so that there's different options taken off the board for Ferrari.
10 seconds remaining.
Right. Kunkka is usually played as a 2, so it does make sense that they would be taking out the sort of one that he pairs with. Spectre is a pretty cool ban. It's been becoming extremely popular also in the Chinese scene, and we've seen it. I mean, teams like Dignitas have always loved playing the Spectre, but we've seen more teams pick it up. Yesterday I cast a game with Roxkiss playing the Spectre too, so I suspect it's just going to get more and more popular. These are smart bans by both teams, honestly, although it's interesting just how many bans both teams have devoted to carry heroes, leaving just a wealth of supports and utilities still on the map, still on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of potential for the follow-up draft. Right now, I think the lanes are really, really strong for Invictus Gaming, but that's kind of a misnomer because there's only really one lane that they've been solidly drafting for. If Gyrocopter's played as number 1, they've only secured their tri-lane, And but still, I mean, they could rotate around and use the flexibility of Gyrocopter to their advantage here. The big thing here is Shadow Demon and Chen's combination together. If they can use the disruption to set up things like the Hellbear's Stomp or the Centaur's Clap, those kinds of things can do a lot of extra damage because of the fact that you disable them for those couple of seconds there, setting up Gyrocopters, Rocket Barrage, and so on and so forth. So it can be very, very potent, and right now I don't think ForLove is in a great position to contest that tri-lane, not even in an aggressive tri-lane sense. I mean, honestly, in an off-lane selection, their options are limited. The Darkseer's been banned out, the Clockwork has been taken off the board as well, and so they're going to have to pick up something survivable, but it's going to be difficult to fit the bill.
That's a good point. I think what ForLove maybe could do is just run the Batrider jungle and then abandon the off lane. So frequently you don't want to do this because it gives the opposing hard carry farm. But the thing with Gyrocopter is he's fairly, as you mentioned, he's difficult to contest early just because he has such strong spells for the early game teamfights or early game skirmishes. And it's actually okay to give him free farm for a little while if you can hit the timing where he's not that effective. And they go with PL, so this is ForLove saying that they actually are fairly confident that either they'll be able to limit the Gyrocopter's farm or the PL can farm faster.
Yeah. So this is going to really, really take it to the late game if they can manage the lanes effectively. Obviously, we're looking at Jakiro and Phantom Lancer laning together, and Enchantress is actually going to be the third in that 2.5 lane. It makes it a little weird because if the Batrider has to go into the jungle, then they're kind of splitting it half-half, with Enchantress taking the harder camps, but Batrider at least will have one camp that he stacks up and one camp that he farms, so he's going to be taking 2 out of the 5. But the final pickup is this Bounty Hunter here, which is going to be pretty interesting. I guess they're not too worried about the push based on the fact that Phantom Lancer doesn't really bring down towers very quickly. He's very, very gradual about his approach there. Enchantress might be able to supplement that, but as a whole, YYF should be able to hold the line down in the bottom lane for a decent period of time, and then most importantly, once he gets his ultimate up, he can track up Phantom Lancer so he won't be able to turn Invis until after the Diffusal Blade, and along with that, of course, just adding a huge pool of gold, which Brewmaster and Gyrocopter can use to great, great effect.
Yeah, this is cool because IG started with sort of this very new school lineup and then drifted back into Face Rush. So I do like it. I like the Brewmaster. I think it can be effective. It becomes a question of how effective IG is going to be at roaming and ganking in the mid game, as you highlighted. If they can keep the Phantom Lancer down, if they can keep Kunkka down, they'll be in great shape. They could be, ForLove could be a little softer around the Kunkka, honestly. They haven't drafted that much that makes it easy to land these skill shots. It's really just Ice Path as far as that goes, and Enchant to some extent. So 2 junglers facing up against each other. This is an interesting little matchup here. I haven't seen these particular 10 heroes go up against each other before. Like, I don't really recall either of these exact lineups. So a bit of uniqueness in the second phase of this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. The Enchantress and the Kunkka, I mean, that's something that you don't see together, and they don't really have any synergies, but as a whole, what they're looking for is just a huge amount of potential to slow and stun and deliver a lot of pain very, very quickly, because they do have good setups for that. They have the Enchant, they have the Lance, and from there you can guarantee an Ice Path very, very effectively, and that just kind of chains back to back to back. You get the Torrent, and inevitably the Boat, and you're going to be in really good shape. Now, we are going to see, it looks like Yo is on the Kunkka. Do you think he's going to go on the mid lane here, and then Batrider would be running in that pseudo jungle as you were talking? Or, I don't know, 8K does have that Tango 3 branch build.
Yeah, 8K is their usual mid player, so it looks like the only question becomes then where exactly do they put Yo? They could do something like, no, I think most likely 8K jungles, because he took Firefly first, so that's almost certainly a jungling approach, leaving Yo in the mid on the Kunkka, which makes perfect sense. They can rotate Hansa around the jungle and then to either mid or bottom as needed. But it looks like YYF is going to start doing this sort of jungle douchery build where you just block jungle camps and try to steal jungle last hits and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, that could put out a lot of pressure there if he can just kind of go back and forth and anti-jungle. It will delay his levels, but if you can slow down the Batrider's blink, that can be used to great effect here. How do you feel about this mid matchup? Kunkka versus Brewmaster. Not something that we see all that commonly, but who do you think has the advantage there?
Brew, so on the hero balance, I would say Brew is slightly favored, and also on the player balance, obviously. Ferrari's had pretty tough games in the G1 League, but he is still the pianist. He is still able to sort of finesse that matchup very heavily. Because Bottle Crowing, nice dodge of the Torrent here, because Bottle Crowing gives you a nearly limitless supply of mana, he should just be able to spam out his clap for harassment. That said, Tidebringer could make something happen, especially if they rotate the Enchantress over.
Yeah, the rotations is going to be a key thing there. I actually think probably rotations from IG will come a little bit more swiftly, though. Chuan and Faith, just the best heroes to roam on about. Now that they have that Dark Troll Summoner, they have the Disruption, they have all the setup in the world. They just have to wait for Yo to be in a bit of an overextended position, which wouldn't be too surprising considering it's not his primary role. But for right now, it looks like they want to go for the push, and what's really stopping them? They have the Basilius up on Zhou, and they're going forward with the summons already active, raising the dead. Here comes the push, and it should be able to bring it down, and maybe not even 2 creep waves. If they pop the fortification now, they might be able to hold off for about 30 more seconds, but as a whole, this pressure is going to come hard, going to come fast, and we're going to have to look at the little mid lane to see if there's going to be any response from Hansu.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure ForLove actually have the resources to rotate over and defend this. Yeah, I mean, no TPs on any of their heroes. They really can't do much about the fact that IG's pushing this in. And this early Basilius pickup that you pointed out with the active aura is just going to completely protect them as they push this in. I think this is at least a tier 1 tower lost, and that's problematic considering Batrider has had a slow beginning. They may actually have to rotate somebody to the offlane to try to prevent their tier 2 from going down.
Exactly. The raised dead just so spammable. Keep on just adding on people to their arsenal here to just keep on going forward. They don't have that great of counter push. Batrider going to be able to force them off the lane as a whole, but just doing some Firefly damage over time to the creeps, so nothing amazing. And he has to watch himself. Disruption and that Ensnare are both very, very close at hand, and that could be disastrous if he does get caught out. Another big thing is that as soon as they rotate any kind of high presence heroes like the Batrider, it means that the Bounty Hunter feels that much more safe on bottom lane. So he's going to be able to go kind of 1v1 right now, YYF versus CZ on the bot lane, and that'll set it up so that Bounty Hunter is able to get some good experience, and as a whole, their team's getting great levels. Now trying to find the first blood, gets the disruption, they're going to be able to get the ensnare, and that's enough damage to finish it off. Chen will pick up that first blood, tons of cash coming in for Chuan, and from here they should be able to bring down this tower as well.
Yeah, IG looking pretty strong so far. Heavily, they identified their weakness, and this is what IG do well, right? They identify the weakness in the opposing lineup and exploit the heck out of it. In this case, you see that the opponents are forfeiting the offlane, as we talked about during the draft, and you're like, okay, forfeit the offlane. We'll take both towers. In this case, they take one tower. The second one is almost down, and they killed Batrider. Now Zippo and 8K are spending time in this lane. This is a lot of lost time for ForLove. One cool thing that Ferrari's doing in the mid is he's taken Drunken Haze earlier than you see a lot of Brewmasters taking it. Because he has a lot of mana to work with, he can always use the Drunken Haze to make sure Kunkka can't actually kill him even if he lands a Tauren.
Yeah, exactly that. So he's going to go and try to rotate around, guess the bottom rune. It is going to spawn there, so if Yo does get thrown to bone a little bit, going to pick up the illusion rune while Zippo covers up the mid here. But he's only a level 2 Jakiro. He's not really contributing all that much as far as presence, and I don't think Ferrari's going to really bat an eyelash to that. I'm just going to kind of farm it up a little bit, play slightly more cautiously, but in this position here, it just feels like IG have dominance across the map, everywhere except for the bot lane, and YYF's happy to just get some experience here and there. So, in general, I think that ForLove have a lot of ground to make up, and their heroes certainly are ones that can swing back from this, but early on, this is just not the start they were looking for.
Yeah, IG have done something neat with this early game, which is a lot of times you talk about how teams have good rotation. IG have basically rotated ForLove. They forced people to rotate over from this sort of heavy jungle bottom lane area. YYF probably okay here, unless the second Hellcaller actually lands it.
No, nope. that would have been amazing if they did land it. The double shockwave would have been enough damage, but unfortunately just too difficult.
I mean, that would have been pretty MLG no scope if he had hit it on a stealth bounty hunter.
Exactly, exactly. So we do see Batrider trying to pull shenanigans again. They will get Tidebringer as well. Lots of damage coming out. They do clear the creep wave, so now only the little skeletons to tank it up here, and Ice Path does come on through, but I don't think they can really follow it up. Only 2 napalm stacks. As a whole, they're losing chunks of their tower. They're forcing 3 heroes up, and we're actually seeing another one come on through. Brewmaster has his ultimate up and available, and although he's not the quickest on his feet, he is able to kind of sidle on in here from the side and maybe go for a good flank. Right now, Torrent, Ice Path, a lot of damage coming out, and it looks like they want to go. Yeah, ForLove, there's a defensive disruption, though, and they're hesitant right now. They do steal this creep, but going back and forth, here's Brewmaster. Ferrari coming out with a clap. Yo will be locked down here. The Disable is going to come out. The Earth Panda stun, locking on top of him, just dropping very, very quickly. Do they have any more follow-up, though? Feels like he's by himself, but there's the Tornado to allow everybody to catch up, and there's the nukes to finish the job. Easy, easy pick off for them, and of course they got the tier 2. Shadow Demon, the one to pick up the last hit on that.
IG staying in on that push so long, much longer than almost any other team, but they just know that right now they can overwhelm ForLove in this lane, and so ForLove just kept moving more and more people over, and then Ferrari just tipped the scales with the ultimate, landing the kill on 8K. And again, sorry, on Yo. And I really like what IG have done here, because what they've also done is generate a tremendous amount of space for YYF to get his levels. So now he's halfway through level 5. This bounty hunter is now actually very, very comfortable, and it's all because the rest of his team offered a bigger threat than the bounty hunter, causing ForLove to have to shift their attention.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, the Jakiro put money into sentry wards that he hasn't really been able to capitalize on. He really wants mobility early, he wants those boots, but right now at this stage he wanted sentries to harass out the bounty hunter, but if you're not in the position to deal with the bounty hunter because of the forced rotations, then suddenly that decent chunk of early game gold is down the drain, or at least delaying its relevancy, and from there they're not getting the build-up they want to. They're really limiting themselves as far as how they can respond to these situations, because they have such lack of mobility. I mean, AK will inevitably pick up that Blink Dagger, only about 1100 or so off from it, but it's still a pretty long road to get to that area, and right now YYF picking up the track. And they could be, if just a couple of track kills, and they could be not necessarily sealing the deal, but putting themselves in just a completely overwhelming position.
Good news for ForLove is that up until now, CZ has taken no pressure, because IG have concentrated their attention on the top lane and getting XP. So on this Phantom Lancer, he's 44 for 15. He's fairly substantially ahead of anybody on IG as far as at least last hits. Not as far as GPM goes, because of course, the tower deficit. But this PL's getting farm. He has his Tranquil Boots. He just built, I guess, probably drums would be my guess.
Most
I guess this is all he has. So he has Bracer, and he's going to build into what I would think would be fast drums, which is a good, solid early pickup that will let him contribute to fights.
And along with that, Brewmaster able to pick up the Blink Dagger, just farming up the creeps. It was a nice little stack composition from Chuan, and yeah, was that enabling for Ferrari to get that mobility early on. So now the ball is entirely in their court. They can initiate so very effectively. The only thing really dissuading them is a bit of a tornado action, but that can be picked up by the Chen Holy Persuasion very quickly if they do want to go aggressive on that lane. Either way, we do see just them trying to safely farm the jungle up and try to bounce back in this game, because right now they are below almost 4,500 in gold disadvantage, and then about 1,500 in experience. So they are most certainly behind. And right now they're just trying to turtle it up and get any farm where they can.
4,500 gold is a lot to be behind at 8 minutes, because what that translates to is Ferrari has his Blink already. So this is a Brewmaster that can initiate and thunderclap you in ultimate. You can see, okay, as soon as he gets Blink, they smoke up Chuan and Ferrari and they start hunting. Ooh, nice actually TP by CZ, already sensing some pain. So he actually stuffs the smoke gank. This was very nice game sense from this Phantom Lancer. And meanwhile, Faith going to get picked off mid.
Yeah, good movement there, and now they do get a track out, and they might be able to Blink initiate on him, but yeah, here comes Ferrari trying to close the distance, gets to the Drunken Haze, slowing down Kunkka. Shadow Demon had already fallen, but now they're going to get this pick off on Kunkka here. He's just completely out on his own, and there's nothing really they can do to help him. So they do bring him down quickly, but they also have Arcane Boots up, so they can go forward and just put a lot of pressure on this tower early on, steal even one of these Enchantress creeps, and suddenly they have a complete opportunity to take this tower very quickly. Faith already back up in the action. Nice Ice Path hits on everything, but at its current rank, it doesn't do that much damage, so dropping down the tower very quickly. Brewmaster has that ultimate. Not going to pop it off just yet, but in a bit of a rough patch, actually. We are going to see Hansu throw out a couple of impetuses, doing a lot of damage. Now, AK is going to get purged on up. There is going to be a lot of damage coming out from both ends, but nobody going to drop just yet. AK, would he go for a lasso in that situation? Seems like suicide, but going on forward, he does get hit by the Test of Faith, but still alive. Nice defensive disruption, dodges out the boat. Still, everybody surviving, just kind of holding the line, playing their abilities back and forth, and not really giving up ground in either regard. But it looks like IG have finally fallen back. Know that the Brewmaster needs a little bit more HP, but it's YYF to take the Illusion Bottle.
A very tense fight. Neither team actually wanting to fully commit to a team fight there, basically. So Batrider just walking on the fringes. As soon as he tries to go in, Faith immediately pops the Purge. They did not land the kill, so nice defensive play there. Good flame breaks overall, actually. Really helped to make IG feel uncomfortable about their positioning. They decided not to commit the Brewmaster ultimate to that engagement, but wow, if they get Yo again, that would be huge.
But they do go for the Demonic Purge here. He does drop off. A Torrent is going to be disrupting him just to keep him in that position for a little bit longer, and they are going to be able to burst him down, combining the Shuriken and the Tesla Faith. not really much that will survive through that at this early stage in the game, and now they have this easy opportunity to take down this tower very, very quickly. They don't really have great dedicated counter push. The Jakiro's okay, but his mana sustain is non-existent. He's not a keeper of the light. He doesn't chakra himself every 30 seconds. He's looking at a very, very limited mana pool, and as he recharges it, that's IG's opportunity to push on forward.
Yeah, I want to talk about something neat that Yo did that people don't really pay attention to, but I want to talk about it really quick. When he was getting ganked, so eventually he did die, but one way that he prevented himself from dying faster was he fake cast the torrent, which caused Ferrari to immediately peel off. Because if you get torrented right on top, the Kunkka escapes and maybe even turns it around on you. So because it's hard to discern a Kunkka fake cast from a Kunkka real cast, basically you have to move when it looks like he's casting torrent, whether or not he actually is. So that's a good defensive play there, even though he did end up dying.
Yep, very, very good response, but unfortunately just not going to add up too much just yet. You're going to get a little bit of farm on the mid lane here, and Yo will be able to pick up some damage output, but right now he's got just mostly a mixture of offensive and defensive items on a very small scale. Magic Wand, Bracer. You want your Kunkka to be picking up something big, maybe a Shadow Blade this early on, and unfortunately there's no chance in the world for that happening anytime soon. The only one competing directly on net worth is that Phantom Lancer at 4,700, but otherwise it's all IG, especially with this last tower kill.
Yeah, and basically one of the issues for ForLove is just that the only person really farming effectively at all is the Phantom Lancer. So Phantom Lancer's net worth, for instance, is very, very good. It's second only to Zhou's, and Zhou has, 3 tower kills to work with. But the rest of the team has really struggled. They do finally have Blink Dagger. They actually catch Zhou out top.
Yeah, should be able to kill right here. He's going to pop off, no, not even the cooldown to try to survive, just focusing on buying out his Mithril Hammer and TP Scroll, so he didn't lose any unreliable gold from that. But still, very, very painful to lose that momentum. I mean, to this point, ForLove had only gotten 1 kill, and handing them the second one here, of course, gives them that much more opportunity to bounce back. And on top of that, it was, of course, the Phantom Lancer to assist on that. The Batrider was the one to get the main kill, but that's just going to set him up for that Blink Dagger. And yeah, now that he has that, he's going for Magic Wand and other main sustain items so that he can get right in the mix of things very, very quickly.
Nice pickup for them there. That with the Batrider having Blink, it's a lot more capacity to actually contest IG meaningfully. When Brewmaster had Blink and Batrider didn't have any, which was basically 5 minutes, it was a really, really bleak situation if you're ForLove. This at least gives them the opportunity to catch IG out of position, generate opportunities like the one they generated on Zhou, and try to put themselves back into the game. ForLove really need to take control of their own jungle, because Kunkka needs to farm, PL needs to farm, and really, it wouldn't hurt to get Batrider tier 2 boots or something, plus 4 staff.
Yeah, definitely what they're looking for here, but things just seem to be spiraling out of control right now. Chuan is very, very close to a Mechanism plus Arcanes all together. I mean, he's gotten a couple kills, he's gotten the tower pickoffs once or twice, and he's just in a great position. I mean, you don't generally see a Chen sitting at 280 some odd GPM this early on in the game, but just means that he's really made his impact on the map early, and that's what the Chen pick is all about. Early pressure so you can have mid-game dominance, and so they've done that. They've taken out tier 1s across the map and won a number of early skirmishes. I would say definitely he was a main contributor in majority of the ones that he was in a major position for, and they actually got a deny on mid as well, so they're just in a great spot here, controlling the gold income and just controlling the map as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. One interesting thing, IG have gone for the early Helm of the Dominator on Gyrocopter, so this gives them some lifesteal and, more importantly, the opportunity to clear out Ancient stacks. But ForLove have done a good job of actually blocking this, so you can see that they put a fairly early sentry down, just to make sure you can see that this is the remains of a 2-stack for IG. But they haven't gotten a chance to get any more than that, so Zhou's farm has not really accelerated past that of CZ. They're at roughly the same amount of net worth, and Gyrocopter basically non-optionally has to go for BKB. So there is going to be a period at which the PL, I think, is slightly favored, but IG going to tip the scales with the Aegis, maybe.
Yeah, now Zhou does have that Aegis available. He's going to be picking up BKB relatively soon. He wants to be going and farming a double stack right here, but unfortunately, like you were mentioning, that Sentry Ward was active, and now it just expired right as the minute mark ticked over. Up on top lane, though, we do see Brewmaster's ultimate popped off. AK going in for the lasso. YWave taking a ton of damage here. Hand of God helps, but not enough. He will get dropped down. Now trying to turn things around even further. Panda's dropping pretty low, but the Brewmaster is the one that they're going to try to lock down. Need a Lance to slow him down. Experts a spot, and Torrent to bring down Ferrari 430. Really, really good move. He pops off an Invis Rune. Almost keeps him up, but Zippo has had that Sentry Ward for quite some time. Put one up on the top lane to pick off the Bounty Hunter, and now a second one here to finish off the Invis Brew. So really, really good for them to still have that available. Actually, combine that with Dust as well. A little bit of overlap, but the important thing is they got the kills they needed, and now they're going to turn this into a tower. They are putting a lot of damage pressure in here, and without the Brewmaster ultimate, it's going to be hard for IG to defend it, even if they do have 2 gyrocopters.
Fantastic kills for ooh, actually.
Yeah, dropping him quickly. Man, that Test of Faith roll was so high. Just getting almost maximum damage on a rank 4 Test of Faith, and they dropped down Enchantress in like 2 seconds.
I mean, that's the great thing about Test of Faith, right? Sometimes it just gives you 400 pure, and you're like, oh, thank you for the free kill, because that will actually bring down... That's a third of the HP of even the highest HP people on the map right now. That's fantastic. Plus track gold. So they got the track off before that Test of Faith did the rest. And that puts YYF up to about 2.4. What is he going for? He's actually... it looked like he finished drums and has started BKB.
For YYF?
Yeah, for YYF.
He did have, yeah, as a whole, he's got all that to put up together. Of course, with Phase Boots adding in a little bit of extra damage output and movement speed. And, yeah, he needs the BKB to be in this kind of position here. The Kunkkas, Disables, and things along those lines, the Ice Path, and things like that. It's just very, very difficult to deal with all that damage, all that Disable, and still be considered on the front line to keep those tracks rolling and keep your damage forthcoming, because right now Gyrocopter's right click, it's not lackluster, but he definitely could use a little bit of extra oomph on that, and that's where YYF comes in, focusing one target down while the kind of overwhelming fire comes in from the Gyrocopter for every single hero with that flat cannon. So
definitely. Good
mix of AoE and single target, and they just need the survivability to make that work for them. Brewmaster has that innately with high base armor and soon-to-be evasion, but it's really going to be needing the BKBs on the Gyro and this Bounty Hunter if they're going to want to stay very, very active in the team fights. Either way, track coming out, the Demonic Purge connects onto Zippo here. Should be a kill for him. There's a big, big call down going across, and just a lot of right-click damage. Joe willing to use that Aegis if necessary to deliver a lot of damage, but for right now, just bringing down the tower very, very quickly. Joe does not have his BKB, but still has that second life available for a little bit longer, and the Flame Break's not going to do too much to dissuade them from this tier 2 pressure. Siege Creep comes on forward, this next Creep Wave will come on through, and they're just going to earn up and force it once again. Respawn comes in from Drakira, though. They might be able to make something of this, but right now it's looking really, really bad for them.
One of the things that Track Gold gives you is the ability to just get your supports these critical sustainability items. So Faith has both Arcane Boots and Urn of Shadows, which gives them so much ability to just continue sieging. If you look at Enchantress, he just has Arcane Boots and Wand.
Oh, blinking on in. There's going to be the clap and the ultimate going across. AK will be stunned out, will be dropped down without even a lasso. Now going into the high ground, Brewmaster not going to be able to find anything else with his Brewlings, but taking away another kill, another tower, and this is just getting very, very painful. Right now they still have the Aegis up for another couple minutes, so they might be able to go for a tier 2 pressure down on bottom. I think that's actually the movement that Joe's going for right at this moment.
Yeah, IG just playing very straightforwardly, continuing to siege each tower in turn. Doesn't want to give ForLove too much space. So ForLove got a couple kills top. They were actually looking pretty good in that respect. And then IG is just refocuses, brings everybody together again. And right now, when they're all together, it's actually very difficult for ForLove to survive. It's really what you were talking about, Blaze, when you said they have a lot of AoE, and they could just blow one person up, because you've got the Soul Catcher in combination with things like Test of Faith, Shuriken Toss, and just a hit from Bounty Hunter will probably kill somebody like Enchantress, and it gets around, well, he actually hasn't leveled any ranks of Untouchable, but even when he gets that, it won't make a difference, because it's just going to, the Enchantress blows up, or somebody else of high value blows up, and then the rest get AoE'd.
Yeah, exactly. Now they're going to go in. They have the Macropyre if they want to try to contest directly, but it's just so hard to go in against this double Aegis. They're going to try on YYF, getting the lasso off, but he's purged up. There's a huge clap coming from Ferrari, hitting out everybody. AK will drop down. Hansu following suit. Zoe just doing so much damage, delivering the hurt very, very quickly. Should be enough for the Enchantress. No. Nature's Attendance keeps her up. The boat as well. Just so much mitigation, so much healing. She will drop down to 1 HP with this non-fatal damage over time, but she will survive. Unfortunately, they still, of course, despite their own initiation attempt, do lose the Batrider, do lose the tower, which is just kind of a remix of what happened on the mid lane.
Yeah, Faith very on the ball with that responsive Demonic Purge. The Batrider jumps in, you just purge him, and he can't get back out. And you need your Batrider to be able to get in and out. and he can't get out because he doesn't have that Force Staff. IG constricted too much farm area and made him take too much time in the off lane. So he's behind on where his farm needs to be to actually get in and out against a Shadow Demon.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they have the gem. They have so much control. They are going to be able to just completely maintain position on as far as warding goes. Looks like Zippo will be able to put down a sentry and take off one of the IG's observer wards they've recently placed. But as a whole, they're just in a great position to keep control with this Geometry site and stay active in that regard. So they're all over the jungle. They have, of course, their mechanism still. I don't think they really even need a pipe at this stage, so they're just going to focus on kind of brute force tactics, go for the gyrocopter, go for the butterfly early, and since he has the lifestealer and the magic immunity, really all he has to worry about is right-click damage from Phantom Lancer, and honestly that's not happening too much because CZ only has the defusal, but it's really good, very, very active item pickup for him, where he's kind of having the future-minded set of, hey, I can evade more, I can do that much more in team fights. So that's going to be important here. So going to BKB out of that X marks the spot and Torrent. Try to bring down the Kunkka, but unfortunately that was a bit of a waste, like not really getting anything out of that there. So he did feel threatened, he did get hit by the X marks the spot, could have been a bad position for him, but in all reality, it was just kind of more bark than bite, so to speak.
It's primarily defensive. IG don't have that good vision of this sort of area for... Oh, right, you can't see my drawings. They just have a ward up on the sort of jungle camp, but they don't have wards up near the rune spot or near the ancients. So they didn't know how many people were coming in. I would actually say that probably the BKB was okay, just because, let's say the X marks the spot lands, you get torrented, boated, and there's 3 other people there. You lose your gyrocopter for no good reason. Just a purely defensive BKB usage.
Absolutely. Now they're kind of farming up on the enemy's jungle, trying to put some pressure out there, and actually going to be able to get quite a bit of gold. So they're snatching a little bit from the mouths of IG, but they have plenty to spare. Right now sitting at a 14,000 gold advantage. It's just ridiculously high potential for IG to take this way through a raw item advantage. I mean, we look at what they've been able to acquire. Zhou moving in for that butterfly very rapidly. Only, I think, 1,200 away, or I'm doing pretty bad math there actually, but no, way more than that. But well, shoot, I don't know why I said that. No, it's about that. I don't know, whatever. But anyways, what we're looking at here is Chuan actually going for an Aghanim Scepter, which I find is very, very interesting. It's not one of those direct response you don't see, oh my gosh, this does a huge amount of damage or something like that kind of Aghanims, but what it does is allow them for that more methodical, gradual, but nevertheless effective heal, sustain, and push, because they do have the Hand of God. It heals up his creeps to full, it heals up a big chunk of HP on all of his allies there, so just putting them in a great position where they just heal away, and Chuan able to get such a great output out of that Aghanims. It gets a lot of mileage as long as he has the mana to support it. And right now, early Arcanes and the potential to just kind of use it from Fountain, and I think he's going to be able to get maybe 3 ultimates off over a very gradual siege or engagement.
It's not that ForLove can't turtle at all, it's that they didn't want to be turtling this early, right? Like, their Kunkka's still not really where he needs to be. The PL's getting there, so he's got 2.3k on top of Diffusal Blade. That's actually quite good. Again, CZ has had a pretty good game on this PL. No deaths, steady farm the entire time. But the same can't be said for Yo, who didn't have a great time mid. He's really just hitting drums, and he's nowhere near things like Shadow Blade that are really critical to the full Kunkka experience. And Batrider also. I mean, he is about 10 gold away from his Force Staff, so that's a big improvement. But still, they're just really not able to get on any side of the map to actually farm steadily for these multiple heroes. And that's hurting them as IG just continues to just tighten the noose very, very slowly. Actually, slower than I thought they would. I think they just really, really don't want to lose.
So one thing, for those that are wondering, check out the Twitch chat. The 6.78 actually just got unleashed the changelog there, so I'm going to be breaking on into that between the game. But for right now, of course, we're going to focus on this until it concludes on out. Not counting ForLove out of this just yet, but they certainly have dug themselves a bit of a hole and have a very, very substantial wall to climb. So that's something to look into right now. They do have the Force Staff up on AK, so a lot of initiation potential where they can pull one person out of position, but even if you lasso somebody like Zhou, you still have the backup of all these supports. You have defensive disruptions, you have the heals from Chen, and Ferrari can come in with a large amount of disables. So in that position there, I really don't know if they're going to get that much out of actually getting the ultimate off on Zhou, but really they don't have that much of a better target. Ferrari is going to be very, very difficult to burn down in that short duration disable. Even if you do pull him fully out of position, you don't really have an Orchid to follow it up on the Enchantress. So it just puts in a position where you don't really have a good option no matter what you do.
Yeah, Enchantress is definitely another hero that does reward having items, obviously like the Orchid, like even Aghanim Scepter to do more damage later on. And right now you just see Hanse building towards Mechanism, an absolutely critical item that they need. But as you said, Blaze, they will not be able to lock down Ferrari. He probably won't even be their target as far as that goes. We see IG, they're going to pick up the Aegis and probably get the deny here as well. Yeah, it looks like an easy deny, in fact. So Ferrari, nice job there, rotation. And again, he's the safest person, as you pointed out. He can escape from any sort of gank attempt, so that's why they rotate him over, everybody else stays, to finish off the Roshan, get the second Aegis, and I think with this, they'll feel more comfortable actually high grounding. Because again, they're playing, considering their lead, IG are playing incredibly conservatively. But if you're IG right now, you want to make sure you take this 2-0, right? Preserve your honor a little bit.
Yeah, exactly that. So they're going to try to do as much as possible. They do have all the tools to really make that happen here, YYF with his BKB in full 10 seconds. And it looks like they're just going to kind of go brute force on the mid lane here. They have that Butterfly and the Aegis Immortal, and still a 7-second BKB up on the Gyrocopter. So they're in a good position here. They were able to get the 9 on the tier 2 top, so they really don't care about the pressure there. And so they're forcing movement from ForLove, as they kind of have been all game long. And now they're going to go right here on the high ground. Might just go outright, not even caring with this next wave, because they don't really have to worry about anything to push them out. There is going to be Ice Path, Dual Brez, and Torrents, but it can only do so much here, and they're actually going to be able to still put a lot of damage into this tier 3, maybe take up half its HP before they fall on out with this nice little summon pickup back and forth from the Enchantress and Chen. But yeah, dropping it down 960 HP. But meanwhile, we do see Phantom Lancer kind of doing his thing up on top lane. Illusion's at work to try to bring down the tower, try to bring down the creep wave, and yeah, kind of be a little bit of a nuisance up top.
Yeah. CZ is, again, still doing a very, very good job of actually making sure that IG can't sustain a push for more than a couple of minutes, because there's always the counter push threat. And this is basically exactly the right way to play PL. The only thing is, once his illusions actually become stronger, once he gets something like a Heart of Tarask, he can actually just have the illusions do all the pushing work for him while he continues to just non-stop constantly farm. He's already doing a bit of that. Like, you can see he's sneaking, he actually sneaks the illusions behind Joe, so Joe is going to clear out this creep wave, but the illusions are still going to generate some... well, no, they won't.
Not if they don't get any procs. That's
RNG.
Unfortunately, but yeah, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the HP or agility values to really sustain the illusions. They're just going to, you know, if you get a little lucky, you're going to be in a good spot. But either way, CZ just trying to be as frustrating as possible and keep that gold income flowing. Right now, 188 CS isn't that bad, but when you compare it to 230 from the Gyrocopter, it just dwarfs it entirely. Just Joe in a great position here to put out so much damage. Not to mention the fact that he has been active. He's been able to get a 1 kill, 4 assists, and on top of that, a lot of those creep kills are actually ancient kills, so a huge amount of gold for him, giving out gigantic net worth advantage, and they're putting it to work here. Mechanism does come out, keeping them active despite all the counter push, and they should be able to bring down the tier 3 here, and with that, they can go for the racks no problem at all. In an open ground fight, they're in a great position, but they're going to try to avoid that with Joe getting pulled on out. Big damage coming on through, but he will drop down that cooldown and just speed away with the usage of that phase. He just gets spirited away very, very quickly here, and actually getting the Hand of God, he can go man mode here with that lifesteal active. Impetus will do some damage here, dropping down to 300 HP. We do also see YYF getting hit by a torrent here, but Hansu is the target of choice, doing a lot of damage. Will this Enchantress heal be enough? No, the Demonic Purge taken away, and now we do see them going hard on these melee racks. Quick Disruption coming out here, getting some illusions from the Phantom Lance, trying to steal those up. No procs, unfortunately, as that agility is just not high enough. But either way, CZ doing what he can, now getting clapped on up. They have the track, he defuses it off, but still gets stunned out. Will they finish him off here? Trying to finish it? Yeah, they do get the kill. But so much time left on that cooldown, just trying to spam it out. What he did was he actually double walked and then defused, and that just made the cooldown a little bit too long. He couldn't get on out of there, forcing out his buyback now. He's so far behind on gold, and they're going to get these racks. So even if they... And on top of the fact that they got the racks, which of course was their main objective, now they got a ton of cash out of the mouth of the enemy carry. Joe just taking away a lot of right-click damage, bring down Zippo, looking for Yo here, does have Kunkka's Rum, but it's just too much. Well, actually, he will survive, so good for him, but still, they've lost so much.
They needed these boats to be bigger. They'll maybe nice defensive disruption just to annoy them. Joe, of course, still has the Aegis, so he's going to come right back up with full health and mana. Maybe they can get him twice, but even then, they've lost so much. They really needed the boats to be bigger, actually. All it really did was give rum to first 3, then 1 person. They probably needed it to stun at least a few members of IG to actually win the fight, and they didn't get that. Even though boat has an extremely short cooldown, when your tier 3 is in the process of being sieged, you still really need it to do more.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, unfortunate, but that's kind of how it goes in this situation. Is they don't really have any way to cluster up their opponents. They don't have a Darkseer or Magnus. I know Darkseer got banned out. I don't think the Magnus got touched at all in the draft, but yeah, when you pick up a Jakiro and you have the macro pyre potential, you need something to set that up, and Boat isn't really the skill to do that. Based on IG's positioning as a whole, they just go in. They have a really, really great staggered approach where they have either Gyrocopter on the front line when he has the Aegis, and then the Brewmaster follows up immediately, and they have a good spread of the other supports to back them up without actually having to worry about that AoE. So maximum of 2-man torrents and about 2 or 3-man boats. It's just not cutting it right here when they have so much healing. To what is it? 300 from Hand of God, 250 from Chen, and now he has that from the Mechanism, and now he has the Aghanim Scepter. So he just spams it on out, and it's going to be very, very difficult for ForLove to bring down anybody, let alone take a team fight.
When a bounty hunter composition is able to get a substantial advantage on you in kills, it's so punishing just to even fight the supports. Like, if you look at the fact that Chuan and Faith are higher level than every single person on ForLove except for 1. That's brutal, and they're more farmed in that respect as well. Like, they have a lot of items, especially Chuan with this Aghanim Scepter completed. They can heal through almost anything that ForLove can throw out of them. Just a trivial kill on Zippo. Not that Zippo's playing like poorly, it's just how are this level 10 and 9 Enchantress and Jakiro going to survive against this onslaught? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, it really is. I really liked some moves. I gotta say, a couple of plays by Zippo right there were really nice. The Ice Path in the vertical sense, just kind of breaking apart the battlefield, was a good attempt. Along with that, he, as soon as he knows that he is completely screwed, he gets hit by 1 slow, he goes in and drops the gem on the ground and tries to destroy it. We're gonna see AK get picked off here, but honestly, this is just the nail in the coffin that we've been seeing kind of moving in the past 20 minutes or so, if not the entire game, since they have had this momentum since the tier 1 got dropped down. But yeah, I gotta say, Zippo did a nice little move there, trying to destroy his own gem. I think the Brewmaster, the one that Brewmaster has, is the one that he was trying to destroy, so to no avail, but still the right heart and mind. It's just really not working out for them. They lose the melee racks down at bottom, might even lose these range racks to the little skeleton warriors, right-clicking away, but with or without it, they're still in just kind of a lost position here. They're not going to call GG just yet. Still a lot of money on the line in this kind of a tournament, but it is a very, very unfortunate place to be.
ForLove, if they lose this series, I believe are mathematically eliminated from advancing through the group, whereas if they win, they still have a shot, albeit an extremely slim one, I think. So if I were them, I wouldn't GG for anything. Even though this, of course, isn't the end, it's only the first game. But still, as long as you have even the slimmest chance, and with PL, unless he dies now,
Yeah, they have the gem on Ferrari, so as soon as he got in the picture, just not going to work out for them. Track kill and killing spree for YYF, so he's just stacking it up. He actually has his Manta and only 150, so just a tremendously advantaged position for them as far as gold goes. And that Satanic and Gyrocopter makes him nigh unkillable. Now he can pick up maybe a Demon Edge to move in towards that MKB, and there's really nothing to stop him from there.
Yeah, so IG, yeah, I don't really see, unfortunately, how ForLove can actually stop them from just sieging up to this. The PL did go for Manta style just to speed up his ability to counterpush and split and get his farm, but I almost feel like maybe just a Heart Rush would have been a little better. He does have buyback still. No, he doesn't. He has it in 20 seconds, so they aren't even able to buy back the PL just yet to defend these towers. If IG can Rax before the PL can buy back, that's brutal. I mean, or before he comes back just normally.
Yeah. He doesn't have the buyback, unfortunately. He has the cash for it, but not wanting to spend it, and just not the time. Anyways, Ferrari going to get a clap off another Drunken Haze. Hansu immediately forced to pop off the Nature's Attendants, and here comes the Rax kill. YYF actually picks up a kill on the Bat Rider, right in the friggin' fountain. Like, just too much to deal with right here. The GGs finally do come on through, and ForLove taps out for this one here. It is a best of 3, so they still have a second shot coming in this next game. Do you think they have a chance at it, or are they just showing a little bit too much instability in this game here?
ForLove, they haven't quite put it together yet. In the Tongfu games, I felt that they actually could have won if they just had executed slightly tighter. Here, I'm not entirely sure that was the case. IG really just overwhelmed them in almost every stage of the game. They looked fitfully good, but overall, I don't know. Maybe a different strategic approach to game 2, honestly.
Yeah, they definitely need to change the mindset here. Honestly, just what they went for obviously didn't work in any remote way. When they saw the Chen come out for IG, it was interesting to see the Enchantress as a counterpick because it's a little bit of a tug-of-war between the neutrals. But the one thing they were lacking is just hard counterpush. They had Tidebringer and Jakiro. That's about it. And so when that pressure came on through, they didn't have the forces to deal with it, or when they had the heroes to deal with it, but highly inefficiently. They had to commit 3 out of their 5 heroes just to deal with a simple push, and that made it so that Bounty Hunter could start his momentum off pretty quickly. The Blink Dagger came out at a great time for Ferrari, and from there really just wasn't too much for ForLove to come back from. The initiation was available for IG, and the follow-up, of course, was already there in place. So really, really good draft from IG, playing it to a T, and from there they take this game 1. We'll have to see what they have coming to them in game 2, but in the meantime, thank you guys so much for tuning on into Beyond the Summit 2. This is the Dota 2 Super League. I believe it's Perfect Worlds Tournament for just an awesome, awesome series to launch out the Dota 2 in China, and of course, a huge prize pool for the Chinese team. So we're going to go on over to the Chinese stream and check out what the little production value stuff they have going on over there. But thank you guys so much for tuning on in. If you guys enjoyed the commentary, I myself am Blaze. Check me out at twitter.com/blazecasting, and you can follow Vikramon at anywhere that you can find Vikramon, honestly. VYKROMOND, ROMOND. You can Google that, and he has a blog, he has a Twitter, a Twitch, whatever you want.
Actually, for the next 24 hours, you can find me at www.playdota.com/changelogs. That's where I'll be, so
sure enough.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'll check that out in the break, but it looks like Bottle Crow nerfs and plenty of other stuff.
Interesting there's some crazy, crazy stuff.
Anyways, thanks for tuning on in, guys. We'll go to the next game as soon as it's ready.